What's up, everybody? Brett here, back today with some belated Total War Warhammer 3 news. It's going to be the info dump on Kairos the Fate Weaver, and we're going to learn about some of his mechanics together. I didn't have a chance to really read this yesterday. Guys, I've got a procedure, and I don't know, what time is it right now? Ooh, it's early in the morning, very early in the morning for me. I've got a procedure in a few hours. I've been fasting for the last 24 hours. And, yeah, it's been a weird last few days. I haven't been keeping up with the news as much as I would have liked, and I want to bring it to you guys today. If you've seen all this stuff already, that's cool. You know, let me know if I made any terrible assumptions in the comment sections. That'll be quite helpful to me. I've also pulled up the spells info dump that they did. I tried to make a video of this when it came out, and I didn't realize until hours later that the audio portion was messed up. So, kind of through no fault of my own, it was just a weird feedback thing that was happening on my microphone. And when I listened to it afterwards to quickly check, and I'm glad I did listen to it because sometimes I don't. I heard that it was messed up and I just took it off YouTube. So, alright guys, playing as Kairos, the power of the future, the past, and all magic is with you. Let me lubricate my voice a little bit because it's going to be a lot of reading. Welcome back. Today we're talking specific mechanics for a faction, in this case, Kairos Fate Weaver, legendary lord of the Oracles of Tzeentch in Total War Warhammer 3. While he is in fact the only legendary lord for the Chaos God of Trickery and our opening salvo for the game, we still felt it was valuable to split this out from the general Tzeentch mechanics so you could see how things work in two batches. This article will cover the information that in Warhammer 2 was on the right hand side of the screen when you selected a legendary lord. They are further split into faction mechanics and lord mechanics. Faction is usually discounts, in-battle abilities. I think you guys all know what that is. I don't have to read all that. Let's see. Warhammer 3's launch legendary lords lay somewhere between Warhammer 2's launch lords and our later DLC lords in terms of complexity and unique elements. There's a lot going on in Warhammer 3 with the standard campaign mechanics, the uniqueness of the new factions and their campaign mechanics, many of which we haven't told you about yet. However, we do want these launch lords to feel interesting and powerful, even once we've blown the doors off with our DLC and FLC lords and their weird and wonderful capabilities. Okay, a bit of a tease there, perhaps? Naturally, it's also our job to look back on this sentence in the coming years and say we were totally wrong because we made DLC and FLC way better than we expected. We'll check in down the road and see how we're doing. All right, got it. Yep, they'll talk about start positions. This is basically telling me what I'm about to read, so let's just read it. Oh wait, Alright, I gotta read this. These could change before launch. We're still in development, and if you screen cap them and put them on Reddit as definitive fact, we'll send Torox after you. Love it. I always love a good nerd joke. Let's open this. Guys, I'm old. Let's open this image in a new tab. Boom. Alright. So here we get a good look at the Lord Select screen. This is this is a new UI. It's always hard to know. I don't like to make judgments ahead of time whether or not I'm a fan of something before I see it in game. It doesn't look bad, right? It's different from what we currently have. I like what we currently have in terms of UI, but it's Warhammer 3, so there won't be that many lords in the game at start. Whether or not this is good, or maybe this is what you get after you click on him, you select him. So we've got lore details, map, and settings. So yeah, they totally changed this up. Interesting. Okay. Oracles of Tzeentch faction effects. Enemy reinforcements, time, prediction accuracy plus 100%. I think they may have changed how reinforcements work, because otherwise this wouldn't be very interesting. Battle reinforcement time minus 50%. Hero action success chance plus 15% all characters. That makes sense. If you're an agent of Tzeentch, you probably have a pretty easy time accomplishing your hero missions. Starting simple but interestingly. The first two are naturally in use whenever you're fighting huge battles towards the end of the game, with many stacks converging to determine the fate of the world. Tzeentch knows all and sees all, and is far better at positioning his forces and knowing the location of the enemy than others. Something of an invisible buff. You probably won't realize how much this has helped when it has, but you'll be winning suspiciously more battles than you expect. In the chaos of the broad conflicts that can happen in Warhammer 3 between multiple factions and alliances, you also may see more battles with reinforcements than you're used to. I like that. I want that. In all the years that I've played these games, I was reinforced one time by the AI. Obviously, I think they're more alluding to the fact that you'll be playing more reinforcement battles with yourself and your own armies. But I was reinforced one time by the AI. It was Bretonia, and King Lewin sat in the corner for the entire battle and didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. And it was so epic. I was playing as the dwarves versus like 3 armies from Chaos. And I had 2 dwarven armies, like 1.5 stacks or something like that. And then King Lewin showed up, and I was like, oh, damn, the Rohirrim have showed up. And then they just sat in the corner with like 1 trebuchet and didn't do anything. It's also the first you will have seen of some changes we've made to how reinforcing in battles works. There is now a timer for reinforcement, determined by various factors, making it easier to take on 2 armies with 1 smaller one, as they are naturally split. I kind of like that. It also means that a tiny army backed up by a bigger one is a much less dangerous prospect, as you can win the battle before their reinforcements arrive. The lightning strike ability has also been modified to a 3-point skill, and now massively increases enemy reinforcement time for the first 2 ranks, enabling lightning strike battles at the 3rd. Wow, you're really going to have to invest. It was such an important skill, you had to take it on every lord. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that they would nerf it just a little bit, and it may not even really be a nerf. I mean, the reinforcement time might just be worth it. Finally, if you're the one with reinforcements on the way, you can move the reinforcement marker on the map to a place of your choosing at the cost of extra time until the reinforcements arrive. That's pretty cool. So if you can hold out longer, you can move the timer, let's say, behind your forces. Let's say your second army is made up of archers and artillery, right? You move them behind your frontline army, and yeah, I can see some strats here. This is going to be interesting. For the other part, a hefty hero success chance boost has obvious benefits. Tzeentch heroes break down like this. The iridescent horror, they can assault garrison, assassinate, and assault units, and then the cultists of Tzeentch can damage walls, wound, and hinder replenishment. Got it. Kairos Fate Weaver, legendary lord effects. This is what I'm interested in seeing. Can unlock unique items that can be used to customize Kairos' spell selection. Enemy hero success chance, minus 50%. And ambush defense chance, plus 50%. That's very thematic and very cool. Let's just quickly deal with those latter 2 before we explain the former. Plenty to like there, both early and late, when hoping to avoid your enemy's more deadly objectives. It also means you're going to need to defeat Kairos and his idea of a fair fight, should you be facing him on the campaign map. But the meat is Kairos' ability to wield spells from various magic lores beyond his own. This is done through skill points placed into a unique row from level 11 onwards. There are no prerequisites, meaning you can choose which lores to take without caveats. I love it. Each base lore, beasts, death, fire, heavens, and so on, has its own fragment of power that can be equipped by Kairos once he has unlocked that skill. A second point can be put into each skill to decrease cooldowns and costs, as well as unlock the passive effect while casting for each lore, when that item is equipped. These go into Kairos' arcane item slot. Each item will disable 2 spells. Wait, okay, this is important because it's starting to get a little technical. Each item will disable 2 spells from the lore of Tzeentch and enable 2 spells from the chosen lore, along with their overcast variants. Here's a rundown of each, and we recommend the Total Warhammer Wiki for details on the passives and spells that aren't unique to Warhammer 3, and our Spell Lores blog for everything else. Okay, so I'm not going to read all this, guys. You're welcome to, read it yourself. It's basically going over a nice little list of all the spells he's going to have active. I'm seeing a lot of things I recognize in this UI. See, we've got skills, quests. Okay, they've got their own little tab for quests. Interesting. I'm more interested in his stats. 50 armor. Huge HP pool at 8,000. High leadership, very high speed. 90 speed on him. Gonna be a track star. Awesome. Yeah. I think that's about all we can glean from that, though. But feel free to read these spells. They show you the fragment. They show you the spells that are available. They show you what they replace, and then which passive you can expect. I would expect getting Lore of Life, probably very valuable. Regrowth as soon as possible. And Life Bloom. Even Shield of Thorns is a great spell. There's probably some really good go-to spells in there. But also, I don't know much about what the spells are that we're replacing. Maybe we're replacing really powerful spells. Like Tzeentch's Firestorm might be amazing. And it might not be worth it for a heal. So here we go. Kairos Fate Weaver's start position and starting army. looks a little weak, but I mean, he's got triple flyers right at the beginning, and I think he can fly. He toggles flying. So very tactical, very like mobile type of armies to start with. Not very strong though. I don't think any of the. He is the powerhouse. He is the monstrous unit. He's not like you're starting with a dragon ogre or something. Like he's the guy. Kairos starts his campaign on the border of Cathay with a region capital in his control. A Warriors of Chaos faction, Kazag, inhabiting 2 of the settlements, and the minor Cathay faction Imperial Wardens in the final slot of that region. The Imperial Wardens also have an army on your borders. So, you know, they're kind of telling you how to start your first few turns. Take this, hit this army, take this building, or take this settlement. Next turn, take the other settlement, and then look around and see what you're going to fight. Uniquely, you are not at war with Kazag and can use the changing of the ways to take their nearby settlement as early as turn 2. On the other side lies a minor, well, when you just kill them, right? You know? On the other side lies a minor Khorne faction, Karnath's Sons, some more Tzeentchian followers in the Flaming Scribes, and a few native denizens of the Dark Lands, mysterious, probably ogres. Tutorial's natural inclination and the fact that you can't make peace will push you off towards Cathay, but those bastion gates are not easy targets, and the powerful armies of Mao Ying will regularly rove outside the walls to try to sack your settlements. Well-placed walls and picking off or subjugating the other Warriors of Chaos faction, the dreaded Woe, will serve you well. Alternatively, you could head west towards the rest of the Chaos Waste and the fringes of Kislev, or strike straight south looking for a way into Kislev or Cathay from the mountains. Kairos' starting stack consists of himself, 3 units of Blue Horrors, 2 packs of Screamers, and 1 unit of Furies. And also, I don't really have much frame of reference for how strong the Screamers are. For all I know, these things are absolute monsters. And, yeah, I don't know. But it seems like maybe it's a little weak. It's agile, but certainly on the weaker side, okay, well, there you go, of starting stacks overall. And while we've rated it as a normal starting difficulty, you'll certainly have to plan some good invasions and use Tzeentch's mechanics to the fullest to make progress. Playing defensively and gathering your power to sprint up the tech tree, as well as making some strategic alliances to your west and south, is another option. Alright, Kairos Fate Weaver is a thinking player's legendary lord, the one just as prone to rampant savagery as intricate plans. Get you a greater demon who can do both and conquer the world in early 2022 with Tzeentch. Very cool. Alright, I like that they've made reinforcements a more interesting mechanic. I will say that. I'm not seeing, honestly, anything impressive about Kairos himself, sadly. I mean, the fact that we've already had a greater demon of Tzeentch in the game who casts spells kind of detracts, I guess, from the coolness of Kairos, but the whole fragment thing, I mean, having the ability to customize your lore to your playstyle is always good. More options, more better. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to play him. I think he'll probably be incredible in multiplayer as well. Depending on how they do it, if they are able to take his campaign mechanics and transfer that over into multiplayer, he could be one of those picks that you just never know which direction he's going. You think he's going to show up, you know, as a I don't know, just like with a bunch of buffs or like transmutation, you know, or final transmutation. No, wait. It's final transmutation. Yeah, that's the one that like does a big AoE dot. But instead he shows up and he's a healer who can summon. I thought I saw Transformation of Kadan. He shows up and said he summons manticores and has healing. It's like he could keep you guessing. I just think he could be an interesting multiplayer pick consideration and kind of throw you off your guard. You never know what he's going to do. Plus, he's a giant monster. He's super fast. And yeah. All right, I'm stoked for Kairos. I kind of always was, but I think it's kind of unfair to look at him by himself. You have to look at him plus the Tzeentch campaign mechanics, plus whatever other, you know, overarching chaos mechanics that there are in the game. And I think you're going to have a really well fleshed out campaign with all of probably the Chaos Champions. And then here, guys, I did want to go over the new spells of Total War Warhammer 3. I'm not going to read this super in depth because it's a lot. I kind of skimmed through it. They go over the spells. Spells are spells. I mean, there's a few in here that are very interesting. Most of them are magic missiles, breath attack, hex, vortex, right? We've seen all that before. I will point out, though, that one of the new things for Tzeentch is the Warp Flame debuff, which lowers armor by 15 and adds a weakness to fire damage, which, you know, probably is amazing because half the stuff here does fire damage. And yeah, so it just kind of stacks and stacks. And with the rework to the way magic works, which is also a video I kind of needed to make, you're going to be able to spam, I think, a lot of spells. I think there's going to be a lot of spell casting going on, especially with late game armies where you've got multiple spellcasters, and they're all contributing to your Winds of Magic regen and how big your pool is and all that stuff. So, yeah, and this type of weakness may at first seem kind of small, 11%. You're like, what is that? But over the course of a long battle with a lot of units and a lot of spell casting, those numbers start to add up. I think there was a few other things. I like this. Glean Magic. Reaching into his enemy's mind, the spellcaster steals their sorcery for his own diabolical use. Increase your army's power recharge speed and reserves pool while decreasing the enemy's. Overcast version lasts longer. I thought that one was pretty cool. The rest are kind of like reworks of other spells, honestly. Like Infernal Gateway sounds exactly like Pit of Shades. A magical tear in the mortal plane that sucks those nearby inside. I mean, it sounds like it. Maybe it has a... Maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it looks totally different, has a different visual, and is badass. But we also get our first looks at the stuff like Lore of Slaanesh, which has slicing shards. Anything new here? Let's see. Give me a sec. Let's see what we've got here. We got a breath attack. We have a hex. Yeah, okay. We have an augment. Can cause things to rampage. Okay, very like Helibron. Kind of what it reminds me of. Slicing shards, bombardment. I'm looking for anything that's really unique. Okay, Phantasmagoria. A complex sigil is performed, transfixing the enemy with a shifting array of hallucinatory images that disjoint and befuddle, inviting their death. Someone had fun writing that sentence. Reduces the leadership and prevents movement of all units in an area. That one I think might be the most interesting. Reducing leadership and preventing movement are kind of a nombo, because when you reduce leadership, you want your opponent's units to run. When they run, they're not defending themselves, and you can kind of hack them to pieces. Normally, that's kind of the way it happens, right? You break their leadership, they run away. But breaking their leadership and preventing them from moving might even be worse, because then they're just broken and they're standing still, and your units just slaughter them. So, yeah, and it allows you to maybe time it with a terror bomb. A guy comes in, causes terror. You drop Phantasmagoria. Yeah, and the units are already kind of on the verge, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've broken a whole flank. But they can't run away, and your units just slaughter them. So that's very possible. And I wouldn't be surprised if Slaaneshi units are quite fast. Lore of Nurgle. And we get our first look here at... I can't even tell what the hell it is. Some kind of blighted Nurgling creature. I don't know. Rancid Visitations. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what all of these may do, if there's anything here unique. The descriptions are quite colorful, but they're not relevant to the gameplay. It's a breath attack, it's a hex. Let's see. Adds wait, what is reflection? Damage reflection. Curse of the Leper. As the caster speaks, his followers are blessed with resilience, whilst his enemies watch in horror as their limbs wither and drop off. Adds armor and damage reflection to a unit. I like that. If you think you got a unit about to take a charge, hook them up with some armor and damage reflection, and they'll probably wreck a cavalry unit. Especially like a light cav unit or something like that. Like some wild riders or something. It's what I'm thinking. Explosion. Fleshy abundance, regeneration. Okay. Nurgle stuff, guys. Pretty Nurgly stuff. Lore of Yin. Alright, we got Yin and Yang coming up here. Some of these I know are very unique, like Missile Mirror is something that I wanted to look at. Cloak of Jet. All this stuff, I mean, yeah. I could read it all, but I don't think that's necessary. Blossom Wind. It inflicts blinded. A column damage spell that also inflicts blinded. That could be cool. You drop this in the back line of some archers or something. I don't know. Seems like a bit of a nombo, which is like a Magic the Gathering term I've always heard for like two cards that don't work together, right? It's not a combo. If you're dropping a column spell on, let's say, some Sisters of Avalon, right? That might be the highest value target you're going to get. The column spell usually disrupts their firing pretty well. For them to also be blinded might be a bit redundant. That's what I'm thinking. Alright, Missile Mirror. Target unit's projectiles are reflected back at it for a duration. That is sick. Overcast versions last longer and has a larger cast range, keeping your wizard safe from harm. That sounds super cool. That's probably, I think, what we saw in the trailer. And then Ancestral Warriors is a summon. The warrior's ancestors are summoned from the underworld, rising up to strike at the enemy with a furious assault before vanishing into the earth once more. Summons a unit of Ancestral Warriors to fight for you. Ancestral Warriors are a strong halberd infantry unit. They will degrade over time. Overcast version has a longer cast range. I'm wondering how strong. Are they Jade Warrior strong? Are they Palace Guard strong? Remains to be seen. And then we have the Lore of Yang here. Jade Shield. Significant damage resistance. I like it. Oh god, sorry guys. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. That was my alarm to be like, hurry it up. Because you gotta go get the procedure done. Alright, what else? What else? I think we're probably... Oh no, this is new. Stoneground Stance. The yang of all loyal Cathayans present comes to the fore, making even the humblest foot soldiers resolute and ready to fight and die where they stand. All units in an area receive extra mass. Extra mass. Leadership in the expert charge defense trait. Overcast version affects a wider area. That sounds awesome. Cast this right on the front line, right as your units are about to take the charge. If you have a group of, swordsman units, they're not necessarily halberd units, right? They're not going to benefit from charge defense, or having good mass. This could be a game changer. You could totally turn the tide of frontline fighting with this. Might of Heaven and Earth. What is this? Imbues a unit with flaming magical attacks and increases their melee attack, base damage, and armor piercing damage. Cool. Alright. And then Constellation of the Dragon. I bet it looks sick. And then Lore of Ice. Oh, I didn't even know we'd be looking at Lore of Ice and Lore of Tempest. Two more spell types from Kislev. Anything here? I would expect most of their spells to cause frostbite if they deal damage. Death Frost, direct damage, got it. Direct damage in an area. We've seen, I think we've talked about this one already, the Heart of Winter. At one with the frozen plains and snowy tundra of Kislev, wherever this one goes, they bring the icy heart of the motherland with them. Deals damage in an area and slows enemy, both values increasing over time as the storm gathers strength. So I think we saw this whenever they gave certain YouTubers the ability to play the Kislev versus Khorne battles. And I think this was a spell that I saw getting used. And it's just a big AoE on the ground, and if you stay in it for too long, you're going to take a lot of damage, and you're going to be so slow you're not going to be able to get out of it. It's a cool idea. Making it worse over time, I like it. Now we've got Lore of Tempest. Let's see. More Frostbite. Target unit gets bonus range and accuracy. I like that. If it's a cheap enough spell, this could be really good. And it depends on the numbers, right? If you give 40 range to a bunch of Streltsy, like, that could be super deadly. They may not need the accuracy. But it could allow them to contend with, Dwarven units, Elf units, who really outrange them, and all of a sudden they're in range of your Streltsy, and they're getting blasted. I like it. Could be a sleeper good ability. Also, could just let you get an extra 2 volleys off before the front lines meet. That sort of thing. Sometimes you play a battle, especially in multiplayer, where your ranged units don't get that much fire off. and you're just like, damn, if I could have got a couple more volleys off before I got, surrounded or whatever. And having a little bit of extra range and plus accuracy, making it, more accurate, that can definitely help. That can give you that DPS. Swift Wing. All units gain speed and significant charge bonus. Hawks of Miss. Okay, Vortex applies discouraged. All right. So guys, that's going to be it. You're welcome to read them all in great detail, but they're really not. They're not reinventing the wheel with most of these spells, but they are different and they are cool, and I'm sure they'll be visually interesting. Definitely not talking trash on them because I'm sure they'll be very fun to play with. Those are the new lores coming to Total War Warhammer 3, though rumors abound of another source of power in the Cathayan borderlands. There are some new effects and new tech we've managed to implement, such as the multi-stage Heart of Winter and the projectile reflecting properties of Missile Mirror. Yeah, I mean, those are the two standouts to me as well. We hope you're looking forward to unleashing these devastating powers on your enemies, hungry as they are for your lands and lives. Anytime I see anything that sounds like hungry in any of these info dumps, I'm like, ogres. The ogres are coming. And I'm excited. I can't wait. Because they'll have their own lores, right? They just haven't been revealed yet. They'll have some sort of like lore of the maw. Like, I think they have 2 lores, if I remember right. From what I've read about their kind of culture. They have the groups that worship the maw, the big hole in the ground that was caused by Cathayan astromancers or whatever when they dropped a comet on them a long time ago. And they also have another group that worships a volcano. So they have like a fire god, and then they have the maw. So I'm excited to see what their lores of magic will be as well. Probably a little bit predictable, but it'll be fun. Can't wait to cast spells with ogres. That'll be sick. Guys, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Brett, channel's Goodtalk Gaming, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Wish me luck. Later, y'all.